We are live, and your voice is part of the conversation from the very first minute. I'm Jeremy Horn, also known as the Product Guy, and this is TPG Live, where product thinkers at every level come together. Whether you're leading a team or just getting started, this is your space. From interns to CEOs, startups to global giants, every voice matters here. This isn't just a live stream, it's a real-time conversation. Jump into the chat room right now. I'm watching it live, and your questions and insights will shape where we go. If someone on your team should be here, send them the link right now. There's still time to jump in, and stick around until the end to hear real, practical product management advice from our roundtable. We're just getting started, but first allow me to introduce you to the roundtable. First up is Shruti Tiwari. Shruti is an AI product manager at Dell Technologies, where she leads the development of AI-powered customer service products. With over 13 years of experience across product management, strategy, and operations, she previously served as director at EY Parthenon, driving business transformation initiatives. Her writing has appeared in VentureBeat, CMS Wire, and The Guardian, and she's an active contributor to communities like Mind the Product and Product-Led Alliance. Shruti also mentors aspiring AI product managers and was recently recognized with the 2025 Stevie Award for thought leadership in artificial intelligence. We're also joined by Marina Ribalco. Marina is a technology and product leader with experience delivering fintech and HR tech innovations. She's led remote cross-cultural teams across 4 continents and is an expert in API-first payment systems and developer experience. Her solutions have supported top global banks and enterprise retailers, and her writing has reached millions. Marina is also a global speaker and was recognized by the Women in Tech Awards in the UK for her contributions in innovation and inclusion. There's also Anil Pantangi. Anil is an AI product and technology leader with experience at Capgemini, Amazon, and IBM. He's been recognized as a 2025 Top 75 AI honoree by the National Regional Chamber and Google, and was a finalist in the World Leaders in Data and AI Awards for Responsible AI. Anil has led global product and engineering teams delivering large-scale AI ML-powered experiences and serves on the board of Wiley's Applied AI Letters while also being an ALA Fellow. And finally, we have Rakshana Balakrishnan. Rakshana is a senior technical product manager at Amazon Web Services, where she leads a portfolio of over 20 cloud-native products serving thousands of global customers. She has 12-plus years of experience delivering B2B infrastructure products across AWS, PwC, and startups, spanning both 0 to 1 and scaled launches. Her work has helped enterprises optimize global spend, improve security posture, and accelerate Gen AI adoption. She's a recognized thought leader with talks at international tech conferences. Rakshana holds a master's in information systems from the Kelley School of Business. Today on TPG Live, how do you turn partnerships and integrations into real product growth instead of just technical debt? And what makes onboarding stick and keeps users coming back long after day one? Join us in the chat room and at the roundtable as we discuss all this and much more coming up next on TPG Live. Before we get started, a quick reminder. What you see here on YouTube is only part of the Product Way. Our Patreon is where serious product professionals go to make better decisions, grow faster, and open new career opportunities. Members get the full experience, proven frameworks and tools you can use right away, expanded TPG Live recaps with actionable strategies that go beyond the roundtable, curated introductions to trusted hiring managers through PM Select, and our exclusive Roadmap to Mastery series, including How to Lead at the Intersection of Product and AI. Members are already landing new roles and solving tough product challenges more effectively. Join them today at patreon.com/theproductway or use the QR code on your screen to become a member right now. Your go-to platform for all things product management, connecting you with industry leaders, trendsetters, and a global community of insights and unique perspectives. This is the Product Way. Well, hello, everyone. Our on-camera roundtable, our off-camera roundtable in the chat room. So, everyone, thank you. Welcome to another show of TPG Live. Before we get started, Shruti, Anil, Marina, Rakshana, did I get anything wrong? Anything you wanted to add for the bios?
No, you did fantastic, Jeremy.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're done. We're good.
And you got the name right. So that's the best part.
Yeah.
Thank you. So to kick things off, I always like to start with what I kind of think of as a little bit of an icebreaker, kind of the question of the show, and we'll go around with that. And because it's Thanksgiving, and here in the U.S. we do Thanksgiving, and other places too. I thought we'd start with who's someone in your career you're most thankful for, and what did they do? So I'm just going to go in the order we've got here on my screen. Anil, we'll start with you.
Sure. I was sharing with Marina earlier, quite a few number of years ago, one of my previous manager, I used to ask many questions in the meetings. I was an engineer back then. My manager said, hey, you know what? I'll take you to a building within the same campus. And he took me to a building. And
sounds ominous already.
And that's where all the business owners used to sit. He was like, maybe you belong here. And that's when I started wearing pseudo hat called product owner. And it's been 10 years in product management and never looked back. So I'm still thankful to the guy who made me sit there. Yeah.
Awesome. Marina.
Yeah, I have actually a very similar story. So I'm very grateful for Nazim. He's the CTO of Jubal. It's a global job search platform. And he did very similar thing to me because that was a freedom of experimentation. And that was like a freedom of implementing the ideas, the bringing the new solutions, doing like a data analysis. And that was like something that inspired me to really go deeper and see what I can do next. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Awesome. Shruti.
Well, I would say like there are too many people to list here, but more recently.
Yeah, anyone you don't list is they didn't mean anything to you.
I'll just keep it like to one person. More recently, like something that sticks with me was when a leader trusted me to make the leap into AI product management, like similar to other stories, I would say. And I think what differentiates that is like the confidence and trust that is placed on me, that from someone who knows the craft. It kind of really shapes how you show up, take up challenging work, and kind of ultimately deliver meaningful results. So I'm truly, truly grateful for that trust, and it has played a big role in my growth. So I'm grateful. Yeah.
Oh, great. Rakshana.
I think we're all following a theme here because mine is also going to sound along the same lines.
They took me to the secret building, and
Yeah, not that. Yeah, but from my end, the person I'm most thankful for is a director at Amazon Web Services. And the biggest challenge with product management is breaking into product management in itself. Because they would say you need the experience and then you'll need 5 years of experience, but there's no starting point for it. So I was doing all things around product for quite a while in AWS. And then since I was owning the product end to end, but not in the official role as a product manager, I pitched about my interest in product management and I showed the track record of what I've been doing. I admire my director for trusting me, taking that leap of faith and handing me a very strategic product portfolio. And then, as Anil said, there's no looking back. It's like the perfect place of where my passion for product management met the bottom line of profitable results. So that's just amazing. Again, I would like to thank the same director and my colleagues because at Amazon, I came back after 2 postpartums and kept delivering products, launching 2 babies and delivering products. And they trusted me every time. And the director specifically helped me bounce back 2 times. So very
picturing airborne babies right now.
Yeah. But those are my 2 0 to 1 launches that I'm most proud of.
Oh my God.
That's great. mine might be a little bit long-winded, but for myself, someone I'm thankful for is a former colleague of mine, who, in my case, I won't be sharing their name. Our conversations, I'd say, could be intense, you might say, at times. And knowing them as I do, they would definitely not want to be mentioned publicly. What I can say is that their influence was immense, and it really stayed with me now nearly 20 years later. They were a person who pushed my thinking further than I expected. They challenged ideas in ways that raised the quality of the conversation. They made me clearer, more structured, more intentional about how I worked. It was definitely not always comfortable, but it was very useful in the value. It helped me unlock for myself and for others. Like, I can't stress enough, it's like a lot of the systems and methods I rely on today really started in those exchanges. How to communicate when things get complicated, how to break down decisions so teams stay aligned, bringing clarity to situations that just feel heavy, chaotic. Those early lessons became the foundation for the frameworks that I taught to students and to teams, to executives. That it was the influence that it was actually I created the original product management curriculum over at General Assembly, largely based on those exchanges, we'll say, I had with that other individual. It led to the teaching at the New School, Carnegie Mellon, my alma mater, other places. It led to other CPO roles, and now a lot of the current advisory work, again, is that I do with a lot of top multinationals today, come from that. It also drives a lot of the content that gets published to the members of the Product Way. So I'd say I'm thankful for that relationship from almost 20 years ago, and for the awesome insights it opened up for me. I'm grateful for learning how to find the value in rockier moments of my journey, and for being able to really just turn those lessons into something that I could use to help others. So it meant a lot, and I'm glad I was able to kind of pivot it into something more valuable for folks. So yeah, I won't, like I said, I won't say who. So people who know me from then probably can figure it out, especially by the time frame. But it had a major impact on me and kind of my career trajectory and opportunities beyond work that led to what I now do. So it was an interesting journey, and I couldn't have done it without them. I'll say. Speaking of not being able to do something without other people, so what a beautiful segue to talking about partnerships and integration and succeeding in an ecosystem-driven world. So that's going to be our first topic we've got here for the show. If people have questions in the chat room, post them. We'll speak to them. We'll work on integrating them into the larger conversation. And so partnerships and integrations aren't just execution layers, there's strategy decisions. And today, I thought we'd explore what makes product partnerships succeed, where they fail, how PMs play a crucial role in turning alignment into advantage. And I think probably a great place to start would be with definitions, because not every partnership is strategic, not every integration adds value. So let me put it out to the roundtable. How do you define a truly strategic product partnership, and what makes it different from a basic collaboration or integration? Anil, let me start with you.
Yeah, I believe it's nuance, as in one at a high level having a shared common goal or shared problem fit that you want to aspire to, and at the same point of time having mutual respect. And when I say mutual respect, does not mean just being kind to each other. It's about honoring what does your structure look like, what does my structure look like, and what are the timelines and upfront communication. One of the example, going back to the building case like 10 years ago. I was working for a telecom company, and they used to get a lot of complaints from external agencies, and one of the agency happens to be Federal Communication Commissions. And this particular customer I was working with, they never had integration with them. So we went with a common shared goal. Hey, we want to serve our customers. We want to reduce their time spent in terms of resolving customer issues. So how can we go from there? So I believe it's more around problem fit and shared common goal. Yeah.
Great. Rakshana, let me go to you.
Yeah, so I have a few different instances where I've explored the partner integrations. I think the main theme over there is putting aside our differences and working backwards from what works well for a customer. So, in one of my previous products, I had to integrate with me as as a product owner, integrate with a third party partner to provide my product as part of their offering. So initially there was a lot of friction in terms of the product being a bigger thing and then the partner offering being a smaller leverage. But then we put aside those differences. It was more about how can we make sure that a customer who has a need for the product gets it through various different mediums. So that was a great place of learning where we brought together the concept of better together. How can we be better together for the purpose of the customer? And then most recently, in my upcoming gig, I'll be collaborating with Oracle and AWS, two big giants, to provide a multi-cloud product to customers of both Oracle and AWS. Now, think of the weight of that partnership in terms of bringing together two great tech products for two different customer bases. It's all about establishing trust, establishing the boundaries of what works for us versus the other partner, and then how to grow the customer base, the revenue, and just customer trust in general, mutually for both partners.
Gotcha. Shruti, when I think about there's no shortage of partnership opportunities, but I guess chasing visibility is very different than pursuing strategic fit. PMs have to evaluate what's truly worth building towards. What do you look for when evaluating whether a potential partnership is actually worth pursuing?
Okay. So for me, so I work in a world where partnerships are not external. So we build models, my team build models, AI models, and then we partner with the platforms, with different tools that we kind of collaborate with, partner with, to come up with something that's something users love. So for me, so first thing is like, how do you find a partner? So for me, it's like use like the most simple logic. Like if your customers are already using, so the customers that are using our product, they are also using some other tool or process that opens up an opportunity for collaboration. And from there, I asked 3 questions. Like, do we have an aligned purpose? Like similar to Anil mentioned, can we see mutual growth? And can we do something together that neither of us can do alone? And if the answer is yes, like it is a shared bet on value creation. So at the end of all of it is customer. So, and at the start, at the end, everywhere the customer is the priority. So we think about like the North Star, where do we want to see our product go? And then from there, we kind of see like what fits in this trajectory to realize that vision for our customers.
Gotcha. Marina, so once you've got kind of an agreement in place and work is actually delivering, how do you keep product and engineering teams aligned across the two companies with different roadmaps, different priorities, different timelines?
Yeah, that's a very good one, and actually that's what I do on a daily basis with the two different but very important strategic partners. And like it can be challenging sometimes, but as Anil mentioned, always their strategic shared objective is the key. So the moment like if you don't have the strategic objective and the shared goal, you have to step back. So then once you have this strategic goal, then the next question is like, are we aligned? Because it's very easy to get lost into the urgent features or something challenges the problems on each side. So how we really ensure that we are aligned. And for this, like what I find really useful is to do the shared overview of the results. So every month, every quarter, depends on what fits really your business, is like have a dashboard, the key metrics, what we are tracking, how we're tracking, what was the progress, what are the issues, what shall we adjust to really keep moving forward. So it's constant alignment and it checkpoints for sure.
So you mentioned strategic shared objectives. What advice do you have for folks? How do you establish the shared objectives? I think for a lot of folks, it's difficult enough just getting some alignment of your own objective in your own company. What's worked well for you in building those strategic shared objectives?
Yeah, so for me, it's what really worked well, and that's what I actually did in my experience, is to firstly clearly understand what's the partner objective. So what's they optimizing for, what's they really want to achieve, and really they understand why. So what's really driving this objective. And then the second step is to really understand your company objective, right? To understand what's you trying to achieve, what driving your growth, and then finds the mutual, the basically where you can add value for each other, where these objectives they can be aligned and how the strategic goal can look like. But the first one is clearly understand your objective and the objective of the strategic partner and the reasons why it really matters, and deep dive into this one. We have usually the session for this to discuss, brainstorm, and really align on such things.
Anyone else have advice on aligning your objectives and strategies across companies?
Yeah.
I would just add, sorry.
Sure,
yeah,
go.
sure.
And then I'll go to you, Anil.
So just to build on what Marina mentioned. So one thing that I also think about when thinking through the aligning the roadmaps and everything is things break. So before we start, just figure out what could go wrong and can be proactively prevented. And if these discussions happen early, it helps in a way that we are successfully aligned in the future and proactively addressing the challenges that are coming. Other important thing that I have realized, after some years of experiences, be the outcome can be non-negotiable, but the approach can be flexible. So if something is not working and preventing us to meet timelines, pivot to the next best possibility. So that's what we have been doing. It breaks a lot of times this happens, and okay, so what can we do best? For example, in one instance, we had a clear vision, what we want, but for some XYZ reasons, the partner's release cycle got shifted by a couple months. So what we did was, okay, what can we do in the meantime that would help improve our product or help our customers in some way? So we decided to do the testing in our existing environment instead of theirs, as we originally planned, so that we can keep the momentum going and collect feedback. And once the full-fledged version is ready from the partner end, we will have more mature models to serve the customers. So plan for the best, but also things can break. So be prepared to kind of pivot as needed.
Great. Anil, I know you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, I think, end of the day, in any partnership, you both want to really grow. So what I do at a strategic level is, if it's a big tech company, if my partner is a big tech company, I read their 10K documents, or I go through their C-suite leaders' recent meetings with board investors, because information is...
So something that other team probably hasn't done.
Exactly, yeah. Or go through their C-suite leaders' videos with board meetings, especially because with the investors, the CEOs get candid. As an example, recently I was trying to pitch to my company leadership on, hey, we should come up with a proposal on marketing spend with the telecom customer, where their CEO had mentioned in board meeting that we're going to spend $1 billion multi-year over year on personalization. So there's your cue, right? So, and I was able to get my leadership attention to it, and we were able to get to the positioning. So I think end of the day, it comes down to information is available. Look at both top-down and bottoms-up approach. What are your leaders worried about, and how do you help them successful? So, yeah.
Excellent. Rakshana?
Yeah, that's a great point, Anil. I would like to add that we spoke about the shared objective. The next step in that would be for me to determine how are we measuring the shared objective? Like, what are those metrics, and are we measuring what really matters? And then for the two partners to come together and say, yes, we agree that this is how we are going to measure the outcome of this shared objective, and we are good with it. So examples could be, let's say we have a target market that we are going after, and the objective is that we are going to at least have this product adopted by 60% of the target market. So this is that customer base. They say 50,000 customers. This is going to result in an ARR of X million dollars for both you as partner one and me as partner two. And then that would be the North Star metric that we all work towards. Or there could be other metrics like, for the example that I spoke about for the Oracle and AWS partnership, one of the metrics could be, are we successfully helping customers migrate to the cloud altogether from on-prem? And that's a more noble objective, right? We are doing something for the customer. There isn't something like a bottom line that we are going after. And this is just a metric that I'm making up, but that could be one way to measure the customer value and work towards the North Star metric. So I feel like without having metrics that you're able to measure and quantify and continuously report on, the objective might probably like fall off, or it might not have that kind of gravitas.
Those are great points. Those are great. The when teams are at the end of the day, things will eventually go wrong, and so I know we all talked about. We mentioned that a kind of brainstorming what could go wrong ahead of time. But when teams are working across companies, misalignment, it's not a matter of if, it's when. So let me just throw a toss up right now. What's helped you to the roundtable, helped you navigate disagreements, friction, or slowdowns in partnerships without losing trust?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, especially if you're working together in a partnership or an enterprise setup, things definitely go wrong. I think it all comes down to, as a leader, you setting up a safe space for being upfront and sharing those what went well and what needs improvement. And also, I don't know if it's one of the Amazon principle or others, that leaders do not care about sweating or something of that sort. So
That's not a principle.
yeah, right. So, yeah.
Wait, what is that? What is that? Say that again.
I don't know. I might have butchered it, Rakshana. Maybe you might want to say it. There's something on that.
There's something about earn trust.
Yeah, earn
They
trust.
are right a lot, but I've never heard about the leaders don't sweat.
Yeah, something of this sort in one of the truth-seeking principle. So yeah. Anyways, it's all about being candid with your partners and sharing what worked well, what did not go well, and also creating a roadmap on if it didn't go well, how are we going to address it tactically and strategically. So, and sometimes it might boil down to putting a named resource on each partner team to make sure it doesn't go well or it doesn't fall apart next time.
When you said creating safe spaces across, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, whenever I set up a larger partnership or team organization, I create mental models, and mental models as in, so anything that we are launching is we're going to launch as an experimentation. And the moment you use the word experimentation, you know that there are only two options or two outcomes. One is success or failure. So when you go with that experimentation mindset, you're actually putting everybody in a safe space that there's no point in sweating even if you fail, because you have learned your lessons and then you're not scaling in wrong direction. So that's one way of doing it. And also creating bi-weeklies or monthly ones with all the partners and creating a forum to share your notes. So there are nuanced aspects on how you do it. Yeah.
I guess you're just saying keep the air conditioning up really high.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I would like to add that in my experience, what happens is that we start off on a great note. We agree on like 10 different things.
Yeah.
But then over time, some of the team members change, both on like our side as well as the partner side, or the org priorities would change, right? And then we have to go back to say, well, you remember we discussed this in March of 2023 that this happened, and then people would forget about it. And anytime there's a new person coming in, or there's a new priority coming in, there is some pushback. So what has worked personally for me in the past is to have some sort of decision matrix where we have a log of all those decisions, and then the rationale for why we made that decision, who all were there when we made that decision, what were all the other options that we explore. And then that way, every time, and then also the date, of course, so that anytime a new person comes in, we can go back to that rationale and show that log of decisions. Also, going to Anil's point about having a safe space, I feel like having some sort of racy model where you show who's responsible, who's the one taking the action, who needs to be informed, etc., makes sure that everyone is felt included and involved in the whole process, so that when new members come in, things don't fall off the cliff.
I would just add, like on the safe space thing, a quote I heard from somebody was that anchor on shared pain and not personal positions. And that kind of helps me center that, okay, it's not something we need to disagree on as such, and we don't have to 100% stay on our personal positions that we think is right, but let's just kind of reframe the conversation around customers and that focus on the common ground, like what are we going to do, like what is the best for our customers, and then with that at the center, just work through it. So just making a safe space, and okay, let's transparently talk through it, like what is the best thing we can do considering we are here.
You, I guess you mentioned that your partners are kind of internal partners, right? And so I was kind of curious. I think we can then kind of expand this to external partners as well, but you have different power dynamics. You kind of have the smaller groups, smaller partners, larger partners. How do you manage a partnership when your product is the smaller player or has less leverage?
For me, I think the leverage comes from clarity and value, and not particularly size. So when I think about, okay, what is the value we are creating and how much our product can, take us from, say, A to B, and so that is the story that we kind of try to weave and bring others in our in our story, in our vision, and that helps us kind of sell our vision. And also, being small or being large doesn't matter. It's about like what are you trying to achieve and what value you are trying to create. At the end of the day, for internal, it's easier because the whole company has same vision at the end of the day. So it's much it's not as different. Yeah, they have like different priorities. It's almost like as difficult to get alignment there as well. But at least on paper, we all want to give the best to our customers. We have same customers, so at least that kind of makes it easier.
Yeah, just wanted to add on this one around the external partners, because it's exactly the situation where I'm put every day. Like, we're a small startup in a payment enablement space, and we work with the partners who are the world's largest banks, the largest retailers in the country, and they will always have a very strong opinion around like how we should move the product and what we should build and why. And that's like, it can be really challenging to kind of them still align on the shared objectives. But here, what really helped me is to firstly understand when you are a startup, right? And when you build a strategic partnership, even with the influential partners, there is a clear value for them as well. So they also benefiting from having the partnership with you, and kind of strengthening and showing this value and leading more them as well, sharing that, hey, we know what we are doing and we know what you really need, and also listening. So listening for the feedback, and if they come and say, hey guys, let's explore this item, you also go and listen. But it's always comes down to like why eventually you have this partnership, right? So they need you as well, and you bring in the value, and it's more making sure that you showing this value at the every stage of the journey to them as well.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And as part of the value, I would like to add that if you're the small player, it's more about focusing on how unique and differentiated your features are, where you can tell the story that, hey, big player, you bring in features A, B, C, D, but here I bring in E and F, which makes this whole as a better together for our group of customers. And then in order to solidify my positioning, I would bring in the voice of the customer and say, customers love this aspect about your great product, but they find these as gaps that we come in and fill. And so it would be better for the benefit of the customer if we like bring it all together as an integrated product. So if there is no customer volume play or revenue play that we can bring to the table, we should focus more on the uniqueness and the differentiated offering that we have.
So great partnerships don't just solve a tactical need. They expand a roadmap. I'll just throw it out to everyone. Can you and someone on the roundtable share an example where a product partnership led to new functionality, growth, or a strategic shift that you didn't expect at the outset?
I
Yeah.
can take one. So
Yeah.
in one instance, so we were working, so we were engaged with a third-party portal, and they had certain AI features. They had certain like free-flowing text that needed to be analyzed and kind of policy documents to be understood and certain actions to be taken. So we were working on that, and we created a couple AI features there, and that was our initial scope of engagement. Once they are launched and benefits were clear, and it sparked a discussion like why not automate the entire process using agentic AI rather than doing like some parts of it. And from that, because there was something to show and customers really liked it, it opened up a whole new opportunity for us. And it began as a small integration, but it turned into a strategic shift, and like the whole process was automated at the end of the day. So yeah, that was kind of where we started, like very small, but kind of changed trajectory midway.
Yeah, similar example in my previous role as leading an internal enterprise product that shows people recommendations and content recommendations for millions of users across the globe. And I was relying on a science team to spin up these recommendation models. But later, what science team had realized was, hey, we could actually serve these up as primitives across the globe for various other products as well. So that's when that science team has become a science product factory in itself, and they started shipping out content recommendation as a primitive or people recommendation as a primitive. So that led to it, and later I actually became product manager for those two primitives actually across. So we expanded that product both for internal and external customers.
Got it. Marina, did you have something you wanted to add on this one?
Yeah, I just wanted to add from my experience, like it's very interesting how the partnership and the partners basically bring you the new clients and try to grow as well. So they becoming the advocates and you can enable completely new solutions. And in my example, it helped us to expand to the different region where we were not present at all. And because of the partners, and the partners basically became an advocate, and the solution we built together, it was really relevant for that specific market. So it's also like how we can see and how partners can help each other grow and bring the potentially new clients and open new opportunities.
Gotcha. Rakshana, what advice would you have would you give to someone, give to a PM stepping into their first high stakes product partnership?
I would say probably three things. First is work backwards from a top level goal where don't jump into discussing like the features or the nuances about the API syntax and whatnot and how that's going to work because that's in the weeds. So start with the 10,000 feet view in terms of what we want to achieve together, what metrics we want to work backwards from, what markets we are going to target, etc. And then have multiple follow-on conversations to get down to that 10 feet level. So I would say start top to the bottom. The second piece of advice is I would say focus on the non-negotiables. I think it's important to be transparent in any relationship, specifically in a partner relationship, where you need to tell them that these are the 2, 3 things that matters the most to me. For example, if there is a security compliance at risk, or if there is a specific responsible AI framework that you're supposed to follow, and if the partner does not comply with that, those are the non-negotiables. Anything else around it, for example, you want to target this specific region only in Q1, but then you can move on to the other regions much later. Those are things you can work around. The customer growth you can work around as well, revenue targets. But it's important to show upfront what you are willing to walk away from. And then another thing I've learned this the hard way is before you go and tell anything to a partner and then set expectations with them, it's important for you to work your way up the internal leadership to let them know that, hey, this is what we want to do as a company, and go out and seek these partnerships. Are we heading the right way? Do I have your buy-in? Right. So I would say start internal before you go external. Maybe I think for Shruti it's internal, right? So
Yeah.
double internal. But
I would say for anyone who's listening to this advice, start there first.
yes.
That is your top. That's your top line. Anyone else have some advice?
Yeah, I mean, I have this framework that I generally apply at most places. It's called the 3F framework. What does flow state look like? And what does friction point look like? And what does feedback look like? So if you're a product manager getting into extensive partnership, look what does success or successful flow state look like, write them down, and what could go wrong or what is happening today if something goes wrong, those friction points, and then what kind of feedback mechanism do we have even within the partnership, and then how do you reach out to each other, what is the mechanism, when do you escalate, when do you not escalate, what are your SLAs. So write those things down and then operate from there. And again, there would be some pitfalls even with the framework, with any framework, so always try to improvise your feedback. Yeah.
Is this your own framework, or is it from somewhere?
No, so I actually coined another mental model called output, means to end, and inputs, but it felt more like systems thinking mindset. So I simplified it called 3F: flow state, friction, and feedback. So yeah.
Awesome. If you have anything written on it or anything to share, it'd be great to. I'd love to add it to the show notes.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I recently published it at a Product Camp Unconference, a couple of slides on it. So happy to share it up.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to get it out to the audience.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Going once, twice. All right. Anyone have anything they want to add on this topic before I wrap it?
You've been a great partner so far, so we can move on to the next one.
Good lead in. So that's going to bring us to our trivia segment. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to ask the question, we're going to get to the answer at the end of the show. So right now, feel free to talk, say anything you want, except the answer. And this goes for people in the comments as well. Don't say the answer in the comments. If you think you know the answer, awesome. Wait till the end of the show and I'll ask everyone to voice what you think the answer is. And then we'll see at that point in time. So for now, allow me to introduce the trivia question.
Which product management framework was popularized by Google Ventures to speed up decision-making in 5 days? Once again, which product management framework was popularized by Google Ventures to speed up decision-making in 5 days?
All right, so maybe you know the answer, maybe you think you know the answer, maybe you have no clue at all.
So feel free, if anyone wants to say anything, accept the answer. I won't stop you there.
I don't know. I mean, I know we're on live. Maybe it's a design sprint. I don't know.
Oh my God. The
You're
one
not-
rule. The one rule, Anil.
Oh gosh. Except the answer was the code word.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy. Well, that's new. All right. So I'm going to pretend I didn't hear anything.
Yeah. Or you come up with a new trivia question.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Give me a moment.
Sorry
Anyway, so we're going to get into some customer onboarding, retention tactics for sustainable growth. As we all know, growth doesn't just come from acquisition. It comes from making sure new users become successful and that successful users stay engaged. So I'd like to spend this chunk of time of our roundtable conversation exploring how product teams design onboarding and retention strategies that drive real sustainable growth. And so the first question I'd like to throw out is just, first impressions are everything, especially in products where time to value is short. So what defines a successful onboarding experience in your view? And for that, I'm going to go to you, Rakshana.
Yeah, sure. So I would say successful onboarding experience is the shortest time that it takes for customers to start using the product and deriving value from it. And a simple example is, let's say you're an Instagram user. Who likes to go set up their Instagram profile, login details, their location, and all of that? Everyone wants to go look into the feed, connect with your friends, start creating reels, etc. Right? So that's the fun part of a product, which is the code user flow. No one wants to do that onboarding step and spend hours in it. Especially in the B2B world, there's a lot of time associated with the setup of a product. And every day as a product manager, I try to minimize that too. How many clicks can we bring this for this business user to start using the product? Is it a 1 click? Is it a 2 click? But that should be pretty much it. It cannot be 20 clicks.
Who else?
I actually led onboarding products at few companies. So a couple of things that I generally follow are time to first value, and value could be whatever you want to fill in, as in time to first delightful experience or time to first event or whatever that is. And also treating onboarding more as a transformation opportunity instead of just storing your product or something. So I would always anchor on time to first value as one of the metrics and go from there instead of just being an option or outcome. So how much time does it take to create the first moment of delightful experience or value? Yeah.
In the AI world, I would just like to add. So one thing, like the AI brings that complexity of like a probabilistic nature. So making users really confident about your models and like the responses it is suggesting so that they can use it effectively is kind of success for us for onboarding. If users are feeling that, okay, so I think one thing that I have learned from that is, can user trust the system on the first go? If we can bring that trust, I think this is success for us. And that brings us to this question, like how do we prioritize features to make onboarding successful? So we start very small, very easy things that customers can quickly adopt, and they think, oh, this there is no problem with this, and then slowly kind of increase complexity so that they can like transition slowly into a more complex word versus kind of trying to bring the most complex, maybe most high value feature up front. But yeah, so that's something, a learning I have. I've yeah.
So can you give a more concrete example? You said help give users confidence.
Yeah.
Something, and I understand.
Yeah.
I guess start simple, get more complex, and then build from there. But what can you give something more specific?
So at one time, we were working on email composition product. Like agents, there are multiple customer emails that come every day, and agents have to kind of write a response, look through a bunch of documents, and find the solution of a troubleshooting problem, and all those kind of look through logs, a bunch of things to kind of respond. So when we looked at the email volumes, we recognize the most common problem are complex in nature, like a lot of troubleshooting required. Customers has tried ABC. Now the fourth step you have to give in response, and it required a lot of things at the back end to make it right. So that was our initial, like my as a product manager, I thought like the highest priority should be given to the most impactful feature that would deliver most to the user. So I focused on that initially. But when we did that, we realized that it because it required like so many complexities at the back end, required so many things to get right. There was a little low confidence at the user end. So we kind of pivoted and we started with simple things. Like a lot of time customers are asking, hey, just what is the dispatch status, or it didn't reach, or labor didn't come, how do I schedule? So those are the easy problems to address. So once we built that first, and then the user were like and users were able to kind of use it, and they were confident, okay, it's almost always sending correct emails to customers, so we can just automate it completely. And for complex, then we later introduced complex in a more strategic way, like not giving them full answers but giving them suggestions, like, hey, you can use this KB article to answer this, and we can summarize this for you, rather than kind of answering it completely. So that helped us kind of pivot and start simple and build trust before kind of fully fledged automating it.
Gotcha. Marina, what's a mistake that you see teams make when designing onboarding experiences on the flip side of all that?
That's a very good one. I think like sometimes what I see is there is a kind of nature for us to really simplify onboarding and make it as simple as possible. And sometimes what I see, especially I come from a payments banks regulation, so you can kind of understand my background. And here, when we design the onboarding, especially if we talk about like a regulated industry, is always the kind of like a combination about fast and how we may ensure that we prevent fraud. So how you balance the risks basically with really convenience and with the speed. So for me, it's more around looking from a different angles. Yes, we really want to get it fast, but what are the risks and what we really need to take into account? Because that's the one, especially now with AI deepfakes, the system, it's easier and easier to trick the onboarding, get the free benefits, make a lot of payments. So we need to always keep in mind that, okay, what are the risks and what we want to really achieve during the onboarding? We need to ensure, yes, customer is onboarded, but is it really customer? Like, how do we know, right? So that's more of like from my experience.
Rakshana, same question to you.
Yeah, from my experience, one onboarding mistake would be to assume that the user would know how to go through that experience. Where oftentimes we think, oh, this is super simple to understand, or so this is super intuitive. But I would lean on to Murphy's Law here, where anything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? So over time, I've learned to just lean on the side of being super prescriptive. uh, if you do approach A, these are the ways, these are the four ways you can troubleshoot it if things go wrong. Or if the person is a very business savvy customer, there's no point providing all the technical details of, say, an API integration or some sort of CLI way to log in and use the system, right? So talk to them in the language that makes sense to them. So as part of the onboarding experience, it's about having some sort of demo that takes them through the step-by-step process, or have some sort of user guide with all the troubleshooting steps and the prescriptive information, so that you do not assume that they would just understand how to go through it just looking at the UI.
Gotcha. So, Anil, what do you find that helps
users feel confident and invested during those early product moments?
Yeah, I think going back to the same thing that I mentioned, making users see the time to first value coming in, as in, let's say, if you're a B2B customer, your ability to make your first 100K out of this particular partnership, or your ability to secure first 100,000 transactions out of this particular finance partnership, and showing
Well,
upfront.
this is about so we're talking onboarding, not specifically a partnership.
Right,
So
right,
I
yeah.
guess so. How I guess if I'm making 100K, that sounds like I'm not going to get an immediate response. I'm not going to have my onboarding
Right.
is going to take a while. So how do you adjust to that type of scenario where time to value in that scenario might be not not minutes or hours, but days or closer to weeks or longer?
Yeah, I think one of the mental model is silently you are one of many, but your path is personal for you. What I mean by is we have many customers or many employees using this product, but every customer or every employee will go through a personalized path for them, right? And we do so what matters to that particular customer or that particular employee that you are onboarding into your product, and making sure those curated experiences designed. Going back to one of the things that Rakshana had mentioned, I would wrap it as making sure you account for those frictional points as well in your flow while you're onboarding, and how you can gracefully move them away from friction to flow state. So those are the things you could improve confidence in your employees or customers onboarding.
We're definitely going to remember the three Fs, Anil, after the.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Go for it.
And I would just add to what Anil talked about. So if it's more complex use case, I would uh, think about like bite-sized milestones. So like progressive disclosure, letting users gain confidence before providing them their own functionality, or something of the sort, like Anil mentioned, like choose your own adventure. So start with a simple path, but every interaction kind of subtly teaches them the next skill. So that way, it kind of like a little gamification sometimes help from moving from simple to more complex things that they figure out, users like figure out themselves as they go.
Gotcha. So, knowing that no two users are the same and neither are the learning curves, Marina, how do you balance personalization with scalability in onboarding?
That's a very good one. So we work basically. There I work in payments and their integration. So when you like integrate the payments, there can be the large enterprises, the big customers who will want the personalized flow, and they will take your APIs and they will build whatever they want, and it can really take them 1 year. But on the other side, there can be some small websites, small business who say, "Oh, I even don't have engineers in house. Can you give me something else?" So it's more of like how your product and onboarding experience also tailored to your customer. Because on the other side, we have like a financial institution who said, "Oh, I want to onboard all my users myself." So, and when you build the product, you need to understand what are these onboarding use cases and how we really tailor for each specific use case, because there is no wrong or right use case. So the all, if they make sense to clients, if they are really adopted, they valuable, right? So, and if it's taking longer, it's fine, as long as through this journey, it's a smooth journey. So there is the friction is just natural. When you integrate the API, you just test it, so it's a natural effort. As long as it's there, it's fine. So ensuring that the onboarding is really tailored to a specific user segment, because they will have a different needs. Some of them they will be able to integrate the API. For some of them, they'll say, "Hey, no, give me out of the box solution. I'll give you one line integration and it's done." So that's probably would be my answer here.
Gotcha. Do you have any kind of specific example as to when you had to kind of do this kind of balancing and how you kind of broke it down?
Yeah, sure. So I can give 2 examples, especially about the balancing. So we work with the different segments of clients. And the first one, as I mentioned, it's a large enterprises. So they have in-house engineers. They have huge teams working on specifically on optimizing payments. And they say, hey, we only need API SDKs. Give us the components. We will build everything themselves. They have engineers. They have architecture team, very strong people, and they draw the diagrams, all of this. So for this type of clients, for this segment, we provide them basically the APIs, integration guides, and support if required. So for them, onboarding can take longer and naturally will take longer, but it's fine as long as we support them. On the other side, we have like smaller merchants who are less technical. They don't have in-house engineering team, so they will not take APIs and integrate. For this type of clients, we have completely different solution. We have orchestrated checkout experience, so where basically they come to the UI, very simple portal. They say, hey, generate me checkout configuration compliant for this specific country, tailor payment methods, and they just bring the one line of code. If they prefer like a plugin, so they use the Shopify for this type of experience, we have a completely different solution. So that's more understanding the user needs and building the appropriate onboarding and the flow.
Gotcha. I want to kind of go back for a moment to time to value. So you go when you go through the onboarding process, time to value might not be an immediate thing. You might be dealing much more with a long tail sort of problem, challenge, opportunity. Maybe opportunity. Yeah. Yeah, we all know that, and so it's not something that people are going to get early in the onboarding experience. They'll end up getting it much later. So how do you deal with that sort of scenario, especially when it comes to onboarding and retention? Rakshana, let me go to you for that one.
Yeah, so I spoke about the 10,000 feet view earlier in the previous partnership example, right? So if we look at the 10,000 feet view in this, product growth has a marketing funnel. I'm sure you're familiar with it. So it starts with, I think it's like this, where it starts with awareness, where you as a product manager go and spread awareness about the product, and then customers start considering the product. Then they probably generate interest in the product, and then they test the waters by trying to use the product. That's where the onboarding process comes. So it's already at the long end of the tail. And then they use, after the onboarding is successfully complete, that's when they start using the product, generate value from it, and then it leads to having them as a loyal customer base, retaining them, and then them probably referring their friends or other businesses, right? So if you look at the long tail, as a product manager, conversion matters. You speak to 1,000 customers. How many of those 1,000 customers become your loyal customers at the end of the day? That is how you measure one of the success metrics for the product. So I would say the key to succeeding in this product funnel is to making that onboarding step as simplified and as light as possible to give a good first impression, which is why for any MVP, you will not load it with all of the features and overwhelm the customer. You keep it super simple. Shruti mentioned about progressive disclosure. That's a great principle we always follow. We just literally show them 2-3 fields, and then as and when they choose one or more selection, then you show more of what matters to them, so that they quickly, I would say in a few minutes, you tell them that it's going to take just about 10 minutes or 15 minutes for you to deploy this infrastructure as code template. That's the kind of products I work on, so that it level sets them in terms of how long they need to spend onboarding, going through the documentation, setting it up. And then they are mentally tuned to think, okay, after 10 minutes, I can start using this product, start deriving value from it. So that's one way I think through the whole onboarding as part of the product funnel.
Anil?
I think similar to what Rakshana has mentioned, from a time to value standpoint of view, there's this philosophy I kind of believe in, which is arguable. You see the incentives, then you would know the reasons behind those actions, as in behaviors, right? So what I mean by that is, as a product manager, make those incentives upfront clear to the users that are coming into your product, and you make them this clear, and also clearly curate those actions or behaviors that they should be demonstrating so that they can reach out to those incentives. And so, going back to what Marina had mentioned, gamification, or putting a portal out there, gamifying that experience. Hey, here is your incentive, and these are the behaviors or actions that you should be demonstrating or taking, and then you can get to time to value, right? I mean, let's say you are onboarding an engineer into the team, and you want to make it sure the engineer is successful. How would you measure that, right? As in, what does it take, like time to 10 code commits, or what does it take time to 10 pull requests, or something of that sort? And gamify that experience for engineers coming into your team, and that's how you would maintain time to value or nurture relationship until TTV is realized.
Yeah, and also just wanted to add on this one is like, for me, it's also around like thinking from a perspective of how badly users really want the product. Because if they really have a problem, so it's in my experience, like the one of the clients I'm working with, like for them, technically onboarding of the one of the new features I'm building, it will take like a few months, maybe even more, and it will take them also a lot of work to do, but they really motivated to do it because they see the clear value to do it, right? So it's more around how do you balance the really like the desire and the motivation with the complexity, because if they clearly see the reason why, what the achievement will be, right, and what the value they get, and if this value is 10x better, they'll do whatever it takes to just get this value.
Shruti, next question's to you. And what strategies have helped your team kind of turn initial engagement into lasting usage?
So one of the things that I have discovered is when users see themselves kind of reflected in success metrics, that kind of increases confidence. An example, I would say, like once, so there is a new tool that helps them kind of solve problems very fast. And once they solve it, you highlight the time saved immediately, so that you show them the value immediately, and which makes them invested in the system, and kind of that drives continued engagement and retention in the future. So like show value immediately, show like what they have gained, and it should be quick.
Rakshana, same question to you.
Yeah, I did something similar for one of my products. It was a cost optimization product that identified if the customer was using a specific resource above or beyond the usage limit, and it would switch to the most optimized billing mode. What we did with that was to show the customer how much value they are gaining out of it by having some sort of observability that says that this in the last month we made X number of billing mode conversions, saving you X million dollars. And that is the customer trust that was established in having them as a loyal customer that kept using the product. It was a very sticky product. It still is.
Gotcha. So how? I want to throw this out again. Another one, a kind of toss up to the roundtable, and that product usage doesn't always kind of tell the full story. How do you use feedback, communication, or education, or something else to help improve retention beyond that core feature set?
I can talk to this.
Yeah.
So there are two things here based on my experience. So one is like, especially in AI, it's like iterative progress. So we take feedbacks like very seriously and release updates informing users that we heard you, and this is a new release that solves the problem. So that kind of like usage of feedback and continuous iteration is part of AI product development, and is important to keep users engaged. The second part is like retention. And to me, it is about showing the hidden opportunities. So we highlight like underused features through contextual hints or internal newsletters or recommendations, and making the product feel like it keeps revealing like new superpowers as the user grows into it. So those are the two things I that helps in kind of improving retention beyond the core feature set.
Yeah, to add to that, one thing that I do, and I've written an article about it in Mind the Product as well, is to double click on the customers who churned. On one thing, we focus on the active customers and try to retain them. But then there is a leaky bucket situation where there are customers who would eventually end up not liking the product, or they would just feel that it's not right for their use case. So I try to, before they leave the product, I try to have some sort of exit interview or exit survey to give them all the possible options and be very open about it. Have an open communication in terms of what did you not like? How could we make it better for you? If we make this better, would you like come back and use the product? And then I discovered so many different reasons for which customers churn. One is that of course, product setup process was difficult. Instead of 10 minutes, I spent half an hour and I gave up and moved on. That was one of the common reasons. The other one is the customers would say, it was just a one-time use. I used it for my need and I did not feel like I need to come back and keep using the product. That was a great learning point for me to think about how to make the product stickier. And then not having a great upgrade process, or even as simple as the product not being accessible for a customer with a certain special need, right? There are so many different things you can understand about why the product does not work by interviewing the section of churned customers and using that data back into like prioritization of the roadmap for your next iteration of the product.
So, how you the exit interview?
Yeah.
How are you getting people to answer those questions? I've left a product and I get the questions, but I never answer them. So how do you get people to answer them? How do you make sure they're meaningful?
Yeah.
To the point of maybe at some point being actionable,
Yep.
as opposed to just random noise.
Yeah, so it's a two-step process where first you start with that in a product survey, where right before they delete the product or terminate the template, you can ask them, hey, do you want to fill out this quick exit survey to help us improve the product? But if in that point within the UI, if you're not able to get that info, I'm talking about B2B customers. So
Gotcha.
the B2B
Okay.
customers are still within the ecosystem of the infrastructure that we provide. And we know the account team and we know who that customer was, because we would know if they deployed the product or not, and probably how long they used the product or how little they used the product, right? So then I could always reach out to the account team and tell them, hey, we missed getting a survey from this customer, but we would love to get more info, especially if the customer is a very big customer with several footprint, several resources, several accounts, a huge geographical footprint, for example, because their opinion would also matter to us as much as a startup company who's just trying to expand, right? So I would literally reach out to the account team as part of the second step if they do not finish the survey, and have that sort of open dialogue. I would again show them all the options. These are the things we think may not have gone well with the product. Do you agree or not? And then how do we make it better? And the best part is that the customers who churn, they don't hold back. They actually give the most honest feedback. So just like Jeremy, your point about the person you admire the most being the one who was most critical to you, I would say that the churned customers are the ones who are most critical about the product, and it makes the product better.
Yeah, especially kind of with that B2B lens there. Neil, I think you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, definitely. I also want to plus one to what Rakshana had just said at the last minute. I believe in this thing called clarity is kindness. So whether that clarity is giving negative feedback or positive feedback is definitely being kind to me because I'm actually taking the feedback and improve my product or program. But anyways, what I was trying to add is Rakshana covered the B2B part. In B2C, you could have various scientific mechanisms in place to continuously measure and detect loss of intent, loss of momentum, or loss of completion, if you will. As in, are we detecting any loss of intent? Like to Rakshana's example, maybe they are just here to get a card printed out for their birthday or something, or maybe they came to Canva for one presentation or something else. Loss of intent, and then loss of completion. So you could apply similar mechanisms and regularly detect those things, because in B2C, it's hard to pop up feedback panels every now and then, get feedback. So yeah, again, it works at economics of scale, but if your customers are like 100 customers, yeah, you could even pick up phone and talk to them while you're leaving.
Yeah. So kind of trying to prevent people from churning. But I guess before we get to that stage of the exit interview, Marina, what sort of data or behaviors do you look for to track as kind of early warning signs for disengagement?
Yeah, so I work mostly in a B2B, so my examples will be also more related to this. Firstly, in B2B, because we work closely with each client, so it's firstly the relationship building. So we always have a feedback session, we have a strong communication between the clients and us. We have the customer success team who manage, and if there are any kind of signs and the customer not liking something, so they'll always come back. So firstly is ensure that you build the relationship with the clients, especially in the B2B. And then another one is like, we know why they using our product. In my example, it will be they use our product to process payments. Very simple use case, right? So, and if I see that basically the transaction volume is going down, that's not a seasonality, it's something unusual happen, we can kind of bring it and say, okay guys, what's happening? Are you getting less transaction or you processing with somebody else, right? So it's more around seeing what are the key metrics that tell us that customers getting value. And for us, it's like how many transactions they really process, and really keeping track on it and bringing it to the conversation. We have like a monthly and quarterly review where we bring this data and say, hey guys, that's how many transactions you processed, like that's how much you grown, like, and we kind of open the conversation saying, okay, but we know you have this also segment and you still don't process with us. What can we do really to move that transactions as well? So it's kind of having that conversation around the key metrics of the product.
Like beyond the
You were muted. I fixed it.
no worries, thank you. So to add to what Marina mentioned, so beyond the usual metrics like drop-off points or like time to first value, delayed part of that, I watched like one other thing called like silent friction. Basically, actions like users are not completely leaving the portal, but they also don't interact with it much, and they are not even complaining, but they just don't use it. For example, like in AI, we are suggesting them a couple things, but they are just ignoring it. So, or they are not interacting as much as we would like for them. It's stagnant. So those kind of things also kind of suggest that something is not working. And then how do we nudge them, or how do we bring back to being an active user?
Yep. In my experience, I want to add that what I do is I break down that product into like the top features, let's say 5 features. And I have ways to measure the engagement on each of the features, and I report on it. So that helps me determine how many, like just like how we have for a B2C product, daily active users. For each of these B2B products, I would be able to look at how many B2B customers are actively engaging with each of these features. For example, if one of the features is to clean up a cloud account, how many customers are using the cleanup action, and how many times in a day are they using the cleanup action? and that helps me determine the engagement of the feature. That's number one. And then number two is going back to analyzing the churn customers. I would try to look at what patterns did the churn customers exhibit before they left the product. Did they stop using features one and two? And was there an increase in the number of support related tickets that they raised before they just gave up on the product? And then I would look for similar trouble signs with the existing active customers. Are they also following similar trends? And maybe I could use an AI agent to analyze those trends for me and say that customers who have stopped using features A, B, and C and add this increased incident or support tickets left the product. And these are the 10 other customers who are likely to leave the product. And then I can go and somehow make it better for them, include some quick patches or feature expansions, etc.
Gotcha. Anil, what advice would you give to a PM who wants to make onboarding and retention a core part of their product strategy?
I think if you are entering new into product management or recent product manager, I always say stay close to basics, which means love your problem, and then always stay with experimentation mindset, adopt an experimentation mindset, and finally then stay close to tech and AI. So begin with problem and then go with experimentation mindset and staying close to tech and AI. I don't know if I have a minute more, if I could. Can I go? Oh, okay. Yeah, then I'll introduce another framework which I recently created called H scale, or I didn't term it well, high scale or H scale. What it means is if you're actually getting into onboarding or partnership or AI product management, begin with hypothesis, right? I mean, what is the hypothesis that you're going to solve for any action that you're taking? And then that's your first H. And the next S is what signals will tell you that you're actually moving towards your hypothesis. Identify those signals. And then C, what is your criteria, both success and failure criteria? And when do you want to come out of this onboarding, or when do you push forward into this onboarding? And then actions, learnings, and evaluations. Head scale. So this was a bomb when I introduced at one of the product tank that I went to, and yeah, one of the CPO liked it and they put it in their internal forums the same. So yeah, so begin with the problem and then experimentation, and then stay close to tech, and always communicate more and more. And I mean, you'll figure out when not to communicate, but initially when you're in onboarding, communicate more and more with your customer or with your stakeholder.
All right. Rakshana, same question.
I would say start small and have a great first impression. Your V1 or the MVP needs to land strong. So don't try to muddy the waters by introducing too much that the customer cannot consume. Think of it like you giving finger food for the baby, right? Give the users what they can consume. And then once they have the great first impression, once they know that, yes, I can deploy this product in 10 minutes, I can start deriving value from it, and I'm able to save X million dollars on a month by month basis, and I can show it to my leadership, they are pretty much invested in the product at that point. And then you can start adding complicated features to that product. So I would say take it small, have a great first impression, and add on to the layers of complexity later.
I would add one thing to this. I would not think about onboarding once the product is already built, but rather like going early when we are thinking about the design, when we are to put more thought into the design early. For example, like, can it reinforce a habit? Is it lightweight? Does it feel like a natural extension of the user's workflow? Can it provide immediate value? Those kind of questions we should start asking when we are kind of thinking about the product ideation and design. So that helps in kind of towards the end when we are already, okay, now it's onboarding time and we have already thought through those things and implemented it into the product.
Jeremy, you might be on mute, or maybe it's just me. I cannot hear.
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Oh, there we go.
Cool.
How's that?
Perfect.
Somehow I got muted. You guys missed all my great wisdom earlier. It was really great. It would have changed everyone's life, but I'm never going to repeat it again. So there you go. Gosh. No, it was really great advice, and I think making people look good, I think would be kind of how I'd boil some of that down to, especially if you're in that B2B in that B2B scenario. It's kind of like when you think about what do you want to do for your own manager? What can you do to help them look good, or make their lives better? It's kind of a great way to think about it for your customers. What can you do to make them look better to their teams? That also applies for partnerships as well. So that brings us to our the second part of our trivia segment. And since we all have memory of goldfish, no one remembers anything that happened earlier. Which is great. So because no one remembers anything earlier, allow me to refresh everyone on the trivia question itself.
Which product management framework was popularized by Google Ventures to speed up decision-making in 5 days? Once again, which product management framework was popularized by Google Ventures to speed up decision-making in 5 days?
Anil is muted. He's not going to talk. So it looks like we lost Jeremy. He's frozen.
Yeah.
Does anyone else know anything about this framework?
I think that was my answer. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, are we allowed to say answer now at this point of time? I want to be cautious.
I know. We have 2 Jeremys now. No.
Yeah, I thought I'd make everything even better. 2 of me. Sorry about that. My browser likes to just stop from time to time. While I was away, did we have anyone who knew the answer? I'm not looking at you, Anil.
No, we don't know. We stay zipped.
Oh, no one knows. Oh my gosh, no one knows the answer. Well, then allow me, please, to tell you a little bit about what product management framework was popularized by Google Ventures. And so allow me to bring you to the early 2010s. Google Ventures saw teams kind of burning weeks on debates that never produced clear direction. Jake Knapp had been running fast decision cycles inside Google that relied on structured focus and real user evidence. He shaped those cycles into kind of this 5-day framework with strict goals for each day. And he was working at Google Ventures, and Google Ventures ended up adopting it across its portfolio and made it a standard way to kind of break through uncertainty. Savvy Oak, a startup, was one of the early adopters, and there's a lot of writing about their use of this method. And through the method, they were able to reveal that hotel guests, and they were doing a lot of stuff with robotics, hotel guests were hesitant to interact with delivery robots until the robot displayed a friendly greeting. All right. And it was a discovery that they had to kind of really reshape their product quickly. And this method, and I'm sure it'll surprise everyone, is called design sprints. And it was really mainstreamed by the book Sprint by Jake Knapp. And so to that, I'll just say, good job, Anil. But no, I'm glad everyone knew the answer this time. So it means I'm getting better at my trivia question asking, you might say.
Yeah.
No, really a good job there. So as we kind of, for the next piece, what I'd like to do is
I know all of you really have some amazing experience, have real depth of knowledge. And so I want to kind of take a moment and kind of go around the room and get each of you to just share just one tidbit, one piece of product management advice about anything. It's not about it being necessarily topical, other than related to product management or product people or the role or in some way. So we'll kind of I'll just kind of go around one by one and just ask you to share a little bit of product management advice to impart some knowledge on the people watching. Shruti, let me start with you.
Great. So one of the advice that I would give to all product managers is, when we measure success of the product, don't just measure the usual metrics, but also think about if it changes user behavior. So track that behavior change. Ask yourself, what are users doing differently because of this product? And build, measure, and iterate until you see the shift. And I would give an example. For example, if your product is, say, an enterprise software like a product management tool, usually a lot of us measure those surface metrics, like 80% of employees log into the new management this tool. But a behavior change metric would be like a lot of those employees are updating task status consistently, or collaborating more transparently, or kind of completing projects faster. So those kind of, that tool not didn't only automate something that was there, but it also created new features, and changed the behavior of people. So that is something kind of measured as a success for me.
Great. Anyone have anything they want to add to the advice?
Not definitely adding to the advice, but one thing that I would add on is, all the product managers, all the way up to CPOs, is in the current era of AI, building products is getting commoditized, if you will, as in you could actually spin up products within months, if not years, or within days, if not months. What really separates a good product manager away from commodity building products is uh, domain knowledge, as in try to get domain knowledge as quickly as you can, which is very difficult. I mean, especially if you're moving from an enterprise to B2C, B2C to B2B, or telecom to fintech. Because I've seen real life examples from some of the CPOs that I know have faltered when they moved from auto finance to money transfer kind of products as well. Although they are all in fintech, auto finance domain is completely different from money transfer business models. So try to get to domain knowledge as quickly as you can. And then to Shruti's point, once you understand those domain knowledge, then you can start writing down those metrics, actually. What metrics matter in this particular domain, or what metrics matter for customer in this domain. Yeah.
That's great. So since I've got you on screen, let's go to your piece of advice.
Oh, yeah, I think my piece of advice is somewhat similar to what I just mentioned earlier. Especially this is for entrant product managers or middle layer product managers. Love the problem first. Do not love the tech. Love the problem first. And then adopt the experimentation mindset. Always start small, and then write down what does your success criteria look like and failure criteria look like. And then stay close to tech and AI. I mean, in this era of AI, it's you got to be AI literate, right? So try to understand what does a software factory look like, what does product building look like from a software standpoint of view. So yeah, problem, experimentation, and tech. Yeah.
It's good advice. Good advice. Marina, yours.
Yeah, so I titled my advice today is "The question is the answer," and I'll share it's more in a story format. So this is a story that actually happened to me, and sometimes I like to talk to strangers, especially in London Tube when you wait for a train for 8 minutes. So, and once I had a conversation with the one person. He was like, I liked his energy. He was very calm. And then I asked him, like, what do you do for a living? And it turned out he has spent like 20 years as a police investigator. So, and it looked really interesting. And when we finished the conversation, he told me, like, The question is the answer. Learn to ask better questions. And like back then, I didn't really realize how valuable this piece of advice really is. But when I build product, and especially if you work in a very complex space or highly technical products with a lot of ambiguity, you build in something really new. It's easier to figure out the answer once you really know the question. So my piece of advice would be, especially to the product leaders, startup founders who solve really complex problems in a ambiguous environment, learn how to ask the better questions and really dig deeper, and that will enable the new solutions, and it will enable the new innovations, I think.
Excellent. Rakshana, you're up.
Yeah, so my product advice would be that I come from a place where I build a lot of cloud and Gen AI products, which is that portfolio of 20 plus products that you initially introduced me with. We are at an exciting inflection point in product management where product leaders are expected to both use Gen AI in their day-to-day jobs to make themselves like 10x times better, as well as to deliver those Gen AI capabilities to users to make their lives better, both B2B and B2C users. And now added to that mix, we also have agentic AI, which has become new paradigm shift. And we're going to have a network of multi-agent products come together and orchestrate workflows end to end with minimal user interaction. So what that means for us product managers is that the tech products of the futures are not just going to have human users. They're going to have agents as users. A simple example is, let's say you're building a flight booking app like Kayak or Expedia. Previously, we used to go and book those flights in these apps, but in the future, an agent is going to take the information from a human user and go and automatically book those flight related details on Expedia or Kayak. What that means for you as a product manager of Expedia or Kayak is that you need to make that experience relevant for an agent so that the agent fulfills the task, so that ultimately the human user who gave instructions to the agent also feels empowered and fulfilled about the whole user workflow. So I would say that the product leaders of the future needs to design for successful human agent experiences where it's all about how humans collaborate with these agents and how agents get the right information from our products, all while navigating the challenges of trust, bias, and transparency. And that's probably what is going to lead success in the world of agentic cloud products.
So I kind of have a follow-up on that one. Besides my thoughts in my head that travel agents are back. In that, my question. So what does that mean to design? Like I think we have a sense of what it means to design for humans. Am I doing something different when I'm designing for agents, or are the agents just going to be able to understand what the humans would have understood anyway?
So the agents do not care about intuitive experiences, right? So when we design for humans, that's what we are centered on. For agents, it's about how we surface the API syntax information or the JSON data or the metadata behind that specific object type. And that's all they need to complete that end-to-end workflow. But that doesn't mean that a human is never going to use that product too, right? So it's about making that product suitable for a dual UX kind of layer so that it's applicable for both kinds of users. And I have a framework for this, Anil. I presented this framework in a UX DX conference recently. It's called the GATE framework. So I think the G here stands for goals over just outputs. Previously, we would just inform the users about what are those 3 tasks that you would do. But now it's about how you design the dual UX experience so that humans and agents come together to achieve one shared common goal. That's the G. And then for A, it's about how much authorization does the agent have versus what the user has? Because ultimately, in order to establish that kind of trust, the user should be able to break glass and say, no, I override this decision of the agent anytime, right? So it's how much authorization and authority that human has over the agent. And then T stands for transparency and trust, and E stands for how much, I'm going fast on this, how much the agent is able to evolve based on user feedback. So Shruti also mentioned this about starting small and then learning from the experiences of that agentic experience to make it better, right? So you can think of the agent as a baby with very minimal knowledge, and then how is the user able to feed information to that agent to make it, say, from 90% accuracy to 98% accuracy.
That's great. And by the way, all those different frameworks that were mentioned, if you guys send me links afterwards, I'll drop them in the descriptions. I'll drop them in the show notes and try to get them out there to everyone as well, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people curious. Shruti, I believe you had another tidbit you wanted to share.
Yeah, so kind of like Rakshana brought in agentic AI, and I also wrote like an article in Mind the Product about like what are some of the things we have to think about when we are building an agentic AI end-to-end, because it's completely different from what we have been doing in traditional AI or even Gen AI, and a lot of things can go very differently there. So it's like interesting reference there. But like one of the advice I would like to give is for specifically AI product managers who are working with these Gen AI, agentic AI technologies. One of the main questions product managers have to figure out is what AI feature to build. And there are too many things, too many possibilities, a lot of things can be done. So one of the things that I have learned is the best products are the ones that empower users. So when thinking about a feature, I would say do not just show like how smart it is, how better it can predict, but design it to make users feel smarter, so that it amplifies human ability, and build systems that help people act with confidence, speed, and clarity. So that is my advice. Like empowerment, I feel like is the true measure of impact when we are thinking about AI.
So what does it mean to make a user feel smarter, though?
So we are giving them all the instruments they need to do certain things quickly, more intelligently, or that they were not able to do before.
So it's not like what ChatGPT does, where it tells me all the time I'm the smartest person it's ever spoken to.
Yeah, not like yeah, something like that.
I have such wonderful insights that I provide to AI every day. So that's great. So I want to go around this for final comments. So we just go around. If anyone has any final comments, observations, anything that you might be promoting or want to just bring to the audience's attention, let me start with you, Marina.
Yes, thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, guys. It was definitely engaging conversation, and especially in AI and the payments, how it's reshaping how it's reshaping our behavior and how we start all thinking really about agents as a users. So if you would love to connect and especially talk about the developer experience, payments, so AI, so happy to do it on the LinkedIn.
Excellent. Rakshana.
Sure. I would like to, firstly, thank you so much for this wonderful chat. It was an absolute pleasure talking with all of you and understanding all the various frameworks and the trivia questions. It was all a lot of fun. I just would like to say that currently in the world of cloud and Gen AI, I feel like the next frontier is going to be multi-cloud. I see that with so many of the enterprise customers that I speak to, where for so many different reasons, they let's say there's a merger and acquisition. One company, the main customer is in one cloud, and then the company that they acquired is in a different cloud. They do not want to go through the full migration process, and they want to coexist with the other cloud. or there could be some regional data residency requirements, or there could simply be the concept of vendor lock-in, or having a more specialized cloud for ML specific workloads, whereas a stable cloud for, say, your virtual machine storage and whatnot. So I feel like the future is going to be multi-cloud, where customers are going to have to juggle between at least 2 to 3 clouds. And now add to that mix, there's agentic AI. So the future of agentic products is going to have to be about how these agents talk across multiple clouds, across multiple sources of data, which is all going to be powered by Model Context Protocol, which sort of breaks that barrier. And I feel like it's going to be a great way for enterprises across the world to come together to solve common problems, although they live in fragmented regions, fragmented clouds, fragmented data sources, etc. So I'm really excited for what agentic AI has in store for the world of cloud in the future.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see about the multi-cloud. I was involved in a product 20 years ago,
Wow.
where that was part of the big part of that conversation was that you needed to be able to kind of load balance your product across multiple clouds and be able to kind of shift between. And that was 20 years ago, and I remember talking with some of the leading VC at the time, and I won't say who they were. In that we were talking about the whole multi-cloud thing, and they're like, "Nah, that's not a thing. That's never gonna. No one will ever need that." So it'll be interesting to see if now that becomes something. I kind of felt Docker kind of addressed some of it to some extent, kind of giving people that flexibility. So that's why I'll be interested to see if there needs to be more, which is where we were. My gosh, it's got to be like 20 years ago at this point. Maybe even a little bit more. My gosh. So let's see. Anil, we'll go to you.
First of all, thanks for having me over. I've enjoyed the conversation thoroughly and getting to know each other and sharing my experiences. And tonight, I can also say that I also have my own Steve Harvey moment. So, with the snafu that I had earlier with the. With that said, going back to what Rakshana had said, multi-cloud, agentic AI, one thing that I've been noticing and also advise others to look for is all the roles that we have currently today, especially in the technology era, are going to get transformed. And if you are a CPO or if you're a CXO leader, make sure you contain that discomfort during this transformation stage with your employees or with your organizations. Like, let us say, with the product like Cursor, you don't need 2 engineers. All you need is 1 engineer. And because Cursor doesn't sleep overnight, and you could give 10 instances of Cursor and get your product done. So there's definitely a question going to occur. So do you need now, hey, EM, do you need 10 engineers on your team? So if I were an EM, that I would be shrugging my shoulders. So end of the day, so what are we going to do with other human engineers that we on the table? How are we going to transform them? As in, we definitely know that they would be operating at higher abstraction level, but if you are as a CXO leader and you do not have a clarity about what are those higher abstraction activities, that's when causes the tension. So I advise everybody to look for what are those next abstraction level of activities that you should be performing and how do you move from there. Again, I don't have any silver bullet answer to it. So we all need to figure it out together in it. So
yeah, I think unfortunately a lot of places are lack as things become more AI. They're losing some of that humanity and how they are engaging with their teams and managing a lot of these transitions.
Right. Yeah.
Shruti, I think. Yep. There we go. Whoops. Try that
Thanks
again.
again for having me and giving this opportunity to have this discussion and conversation with everybody. Really enjoyed it and learned a lot from it. Just to add to that, like AI hype or a reality, like the growth in AI, how is it kind of changing a lot of things in the ways we consume apps or other things. one thing I read like today a post from Andrew Ng, and he mentioned that like somebody I think emailed him saying, hey, the kid, their like son doesn't want to go to the college because they think like everything will be driven by AI. There won't be anything to do in the future, something like that. And so kind of he clarified, and I agree. Like it's still a hype. People think that there are so many things we can do with AI, and it will change the whole everything. So and it would take like decades to reach where we are imagining we are. And even today, like a good model you build or something, an application you build with AI, you have to do a lot of it sounds very good, it's like it talks very human like, but in terms of like accuracy and something that we can truly trust, it takes a lot of customization to get there. So so just like although we are getting there and lots of new developments are happening day to day, we started with like Gen AI, now move to agentic, and tomorrow there will be, I'm sure, something much faster, much better. But there's still a long way to go to truly say that yes, now like this is something that could truly change humanity. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Excellent. Let's see. Did I do everyone or did I miss someone? Marina, did I get to you for your final thoughts, final comments?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. All right, yeah, it's little browser crashes. I lose half my brain. So everyone, I want to just do a special thanks for everyone who attended in the chat room, everyone who joined on the roundtable, Shruti, Anil, Marina, Rakshana. You were awesome. This was a great conversation about just driving product growth, partnerships, integrations, user retention, and just the topics covered, everything from being better together on the partnership side, helping creating safe spaces across companies, and then on retention, helping give users confidence and double clicking into the challenges and the reasons that people are leaving. So anyone watching, if you'd like to join the roundtable, we'd love to have you on screen. Every type of person, background, experience, location, just contact me at jhorn@theproductguy.com, and happy to talk to you to explore getting you onto the roundtable. And if people are interested in other topics that we haven't discussed yet, or maybe want to revisit a topic we've discussed in the past, please drop a comment down below, and we'll work on getting some of those topics into the mix, and we'll explore them for future episodes. And also, please like, subscribe, enable notifications. Tell 5 of your friends about the TPG Live podcast and the Product Way YouTube channel. We do these live shows once a month, but we also on the YouTube channel, we have lots of content publishing all the time, every week on there. So please check it out, subscribe. It really helps us get the word out, and helps, as they say, with the algorithm. And just once again, thank you to everyone on camera, off camera, for your wisdom, for your conversation. And I'll just say I'll see you all next time, and I really appreciate everyone being here, and I'll see you on the next show. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Today's show is just the beginning. Inside the Product Way on Patreon, members go further with expanded TPG Live recaps that turn ideas into concrete actions, guided frameworks, practical insights for everyone from PM to CPO, and access to tools trusted by top product teams worldwide. New content drops every week, including case studies, practical product strategies, key insights, and deep dive articles. That includes our exclusive Roadmap to Mastery series featuring the Product Plus AI collection with real-world strategies to help you lead and deliver in the age of AI. Each week, members are opening doors to new roles and delivering bigger wins. Join them at patreon.com/theproductway or use the QR code on your screen to become a member right now. Enjoy, and thank you very much for your support.